GWATA TV gives you a first look at North Central Washington's business news. You'll hear from our local business, tech, and education companies as Jenny discusses hot topics and current events with some of the best innovators and pioneers in North Central Washington.
Hello, North Central Washington, and welcome to Season 5 of GWATA TV. I'm your host, Jenny Rojanasatian, and I'm so excited to share the next 30 minutes with you. GWATA is North Central Washington's technology alliance. We're a nonprofit with a mission of bringing people and technology resources together. Through our partnership with the NCW Life channel, we've featured over 60 different guests on this show the past 4 seasons. They've been individuals, businesses, educators, and students who are all making a regional impact in one of our nonprofit's 3 focus areas: technology, entrepreneurship, or STEM education. If you've not had a chance to watch our program before, don't worry. You can get caught up on all 4 seasons by going to the NCW Life channel website. Now, this season of GWATA TV, we're going to focus in on 2 key topic areas: workforce of the future and broadband. Each of our episodes will feature guests who will help us explore and dive deeper into these 2 topics, both of which have contributed to the continued growth of our area. Now, let's get right into it. Today is all about workforce of the future, and in particular, computer science pathways. The reality is, computer science is a critical and growing field for Washington State, and we're simply not producing enough students to fill the jobs. According to code.org, computing jobs are the #1 source of new jobs in the United States. These jobs are in every state and every industry. Washington had over 18,000 computer science jobs open in 2017, but yet only 1,700 computer science graduates. So why the gap? Well, coming up after the break, Ty Stevenson from AVID will talk about some of the barriers our students or teachers are facing at a national and local level, and what programs his nonprofit is implementing to help. Then we'll talk to local educator and GWATA Innovator Award winner Tina Nicpan-Brown on what's being done in her classroom to level the playing field and ignite a passion for computer science in young students. Please join us. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to GWATA TV. We are on air with our first guest, Ty Stevenson, a project manager for AVID. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yes, and you have traveled to Wenatchee to bring the message of AVID and to participate in some events. You were just telling me before we went on air, you are actually heading home to Michigan today.
Yes, that's right. I'm originally from Michigan.
Okay.
And I've been in the education industry for a long time. I was a teacher, I was a coach, I've been a college recruiter, a college administrator. I worked for Lego Education for a number of years, and I came to be with AVID about a year ago, and it's been a real pleasure to work with them in the mission that they have to help kids have a better life and to sort of close that achievement gap and become more college ready. So it's been a great journey for me in education so far.
What does AVID stand for?
I love what AVID stands for as an acronym and as a company, but AVID actually stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. That really resonated with me when I was thinking about joining their team, because it kind of speaks to take self-ownership of your own success. Don't make excuses, commit to self-improvement, and just have a certain fortitude and stick-to-itiveness for getting where you want to be. But again, advancement via individual determination.
And AVID has programs in North Central Washington, Washington State, and across the country. Talk about what AVID does as an organization.
So as an organization, it's sometimes complex to describe, but at the very core, we offer some really successful and well-proven professional development for educators all around the country. Even though our company is out of San Diego, our footprint is not just national but international as well. And the general idea is we feel that by training educators who thereby then take those practices into the classroom, work with their kids, those students can then sort of trend towards a better trajectory in terms of college readiness, and not just college readiness, success in college. We know that in the state of Washington, for instance, It's actually 100% of AVID seniors or students that are in AVID programs as seniors go on to graduate. They tend to outperform non-AVID students on traditional test scores and college acceptance and things like that. So long story short, we offer different systems to train educators that translate into student success in the classroom and beyond.
You have some pretty compelling numbers. We were just seeing some of the photos of the work that's happening through AVID on the screen. But 2 million students were touched through an AVID program and through your resources in the 2018 to 2019 school year across the country.
That's right.
So we're talking about a very big impact in terms of student success. Talk about the programming you do with our educators. I know you're also linked in with like code.org, which provides a lot of resources. So what does that look like in professional development for educators?
Sure. So when we talk about what AVID does as its core and then the work we're doing with code.org, it's actually a couple of different things.
Okay.
In the last couple of years, AVID has really started to look at different innovative ways to grow and expand our footprint to help even more educators and students. And so AVID at its core, again, is offering professional development with our pedagogy, with our systems and our best practices that we know will translate from educators down into the classroom and their students to, again, change trajectories, get more students college ready and college bound. At the same time, we're looking at partnerships, innovation, digital teaching and learning practices, STEM innovation, and things like that. And so to that end, you mentioned code.org. We've recently become the code.org regional partner for the state of Washington. What that means is code.org, which is a nonprofit offering both curriculum and professional development around computer science, we are not delivering our content via code.org. Code.org's content is being brought to the marketplace or being brought to educators by us. So in a sense, we're sort of the delivery vehicle for their content. What that means is we work with local districts, both school districts and education service districts, which are organizations that impact sometimes 25 to 30 districts around a region like the Wenatchee Valley. And we set up training for K-5 educators so they can learn about computer science, gain confidence, gain a competency so that they can then go back into their classroom and help their students access computer science curriculum. Again, changing that student's potential trajectory in terms of what they might want to do with a career.
You know, we've talked previously on the show about, you know, our educators may not have been classically trained in things like computer science. So can you talk about how code.org in particular, they're really trying to, like you said, it's making it accessible and creating curriculum that a non-computer science professional can bring into the classroom.
Exactly, and access and equity are big for both code.org and for AVID. We want every educator and every student to have a chance to access these resources in a way that builds confidence, like I was saying, and a comfortable familiarity with bringing those computer science practices to the classroom. Whether you're going to be an engineer or whether you're teaching computer science or what have you, the basic principles of computer science and problem solving and in some cases project-based learning are very important for both educators and students to know, whether you're teaching math or science or even English, like I was an English teacher, or history and things like that. So equity and access are huge for both AVID and code.org, and we're working together to do what we can to sort of bridge that gap between access and opportunity for computer science.
And when we talk about equity and access to opportunity, here in North Central Washington, we're more rural settings. Some of our school districts are quite remote, you know, even from Wenatchee being our metropolitan area.
Right.
We've got school districts that are a couple hours out. What have you seen in your programs with AVID? How is that helping impact districts like North Central Washington who might be more rural and remote?
That's a great question, and being from a small farming community myself, traditionally, I have a personal heart for rural communities, and working in the Wenatchee Valley, you do see a lot of those types of communities where it's not a dense population. There's communities spread out all over the valley and beyond. One of the things that we feel strongly about is working with local entities that already exist to not reinvent the wheel. Working with GWATA, working with the North Central Education Service District. Dr. Sue Kane has been a strong partner of ours there at the ESD, and to tap into those local networks where we can spread the word and create awareness for the professional development that we're offering, both from AVID itself and with the Code.org partnership. That's really crucial for us, and that really helps us get the word out and get the awareness out there to some of these smaller communities. The reality, though, is, too, that the more we can do to bring what we offer to them versus having them have to come to us, that really can break down some barriers as well. Distance can be a challenge, but again, with digital technology and systems in place whereby we can bring resources to them, it again really helps us to build equity.
Well, I want to thank you for the great work that you're doing at AVID and for taking the time to come to North Central Washington, talk about your programs. You were at our Tech Talk and Happy Hour talking with community members. Like you said, spreading that message. Right. It's really important to get more industry involved, more community members supporting education. If you could give any advice to someone listening out there today and our audience about getting involved or supporting education, what advice would you give to a community member who might be listening in today?
You know, that's a great question. There's so many ways to get involved meaningfully in this work. You know, volunteering to go speak with children at a local school or a local community event to talk about what you do professionally and how you got there. Maybe that involved STEM or computer science or some other skill set that you know is important in the 21st century. The other reason why that's important is because you then become a visual or a role model that children can look up and say, hey, I'd like to be like that someday, or I'd like to do that work someday. That's a very easy thing to do, and it's something that a lot of folks aren't necessarily aware could be available to them. Certainly philanthropic support, getting involved financially and supporting the work of AVID and Code.org is huge as well. These things do have cost, and we do work with local partners to try to find funding sources to make sure we can continue the work. Advocating in your local school district, join a board, vote, do things legislatively and politically that support these systems growing. We've been working a lot with the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction here in the state of Washington. Shannon Thiessen has been doing great work to try to create equity for computer science all across the state. So again, advocate legislatively, get involved politically, be unafraid to rally behind this work, because again, it's our children's future here in Washington, in this country, and beyond. And so we all can play a part in that, even if it's not a frontline, clearly defined role. So take action, is what I would say.
I love that message. And Ty, again, thank you for being on air. When we are going to head to a commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to have Tina Nicpan-Brown, a local teacher, who can talk about how people have been getting involved in her classroom and how much fun it is. I mean, you go into a classroom, it's guaranteed to be a good experience, spending even just 30 minutes with kids in a classroom.
Well, that's the whole thing. You really hit the nail on the head there, I think, because fun is important. Having skill and passion at the same time matters. Because if a young person is skilled at something, but they're not passionate about it, they're likely not going to pursue it down the road. And so it's very important to focus on the fun element as well.
Yeah, bring that in.
Absolutely.
Well, the next time you're in town, please drop by and visit us here on GWATA TV.
I will.
For our audience, stay tuned. We'll be right back with Tina Nicpan-Brown. We are back on air on GWATA TV with a GWATA Innovator Award winner, Tina Nicpan-Brown, who also is an educator teaching 5th grade in Wenatchee School District. Welcome to GWATA TV.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, we're so excited to talk about the work you're doing in Wenatchee School District. Your kids, your students, you're so passionate. You're one of those educators who can light up a room. And so tell us a little bit about you and your work as an educator.
Well, this is my 20th year in education, and I have to admit the last 5 years I've really just been focusing on getting the kids out of the classroom. I think when you're in education for 20 years, you can say you've seen a lot of patterns, a lot of things come and go and come back again. And the one thing that's never gone away is kids' curiosity. And I just want them to be part of what we're learning. We can learn about chemistry and forest fires in so many different places in this community that we don't just have to be stuck in the classroom watching it on a video or reading about it in a story. Those are great beginnings, but until you get the kids really interacting with those that do it for a living or are passionate about it, I don't think they really can apply that knowledge or enjoy what they're learning. To them, it's just taking a test at the end.
And you've not only brought kids out of the classroom, but you've done even overnights. You just recently did a winter camp. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, that is my huge passion. I was able, with 90% of the trip was funded by either donations, grant awards, or community members who were just excited about the idea. I took 51 fifth graders over to Lake Wenatchee YMCA camp, and we spent 3 days and 2 nights there. They slept in wood burning stove cabins as their heat source. They had to gather their wood. We used snowshoes to get everywhere. But the best part was all the integrated learning that they had from the different members. We had female firefighters snowshoeing with them and talking them about healthy and unhealthy forests. We had paramedics and search and rescue volunteers talking about how to just survive if you find yourself stuck in a situation where you need to wait for help. We interacted with chemistry and made snow ice cream and compared that with the ice cream they're used to. We engineered helmets, we made instruments, and the whole theme around the whole camp was, sure, winter and STEM activities, but it's all of those things that come up, those learnings that I cannot plan for. Those, how do you communicate and talk to someone in your group to plan an appropriate safety helmet? What do you need in order to have a safe snow structure that everyone can fit into? And hearing all those questions that are not directed to me, but the experts, the people in our community.
The problem solving, the soft skills building, and I love that career pathway connection of fire and rescue.
Yes.
Or, forest fighter. It's incredible. Now, on today's episode of GWATA TV, we're kind of digging into a little bit of Hour of Code with Ty Stevenson. And so to kind of shift gears a little bit, you have been really involved in computer science as well, and in creating some pretty robust code, Hour of Code events in your schools. Let's talk a little bit about why is it so important for you to bring that computer science in through all these curriculum pieces?
Well, unfortunately, we have so many state standards as teachers to get to that often a lot of them go unseen by students. And computer science and technology in general are two sets of standards that get pushed aside or are seen as easily integrated, but not at the level in which we as educators are asked to do by the state. And so that means those are the opportunities I need to give the kids outside of our regular school day. Computer science was not really a thing when I was going through high school, and so for me, one of the reasons I went into education was to keep learning. So computer science was brand new to me, and I thought the best way to involve myself was to first start helping the state create those standards, K-12, and then once that was complete, then I found I had to make it more accessible for other teachers. And so then it meant, okay, how do I get computer science in the hands of K-5 students? And even more so, how can I show the community of students ages 5 to 10 that it's just as vital for them to be interacting with it as even their high school students may.
And you've created some Hour of Code events. I think this last year you did 3 different nights of Hour of Code.
I did.
At the schools, which hundreds of students and families.
Yes.
You also have a Girls Who Code group.
I do.
To really inspire young women who traditionally may have been left out even from that computer science pathway as well.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the Girls Who Code.
The Girls Who Code. Well, I was very fortunate to have a very engaged and eager student teacher this fall who was very generous with her time and my ideas. And together we created a Girls Who Code Club that met 3 days a week at 7 in the morning, the whole first hour and 10 minutes of school. We wrote some grants to gather the equipment that we needed. We used Nintendo Labo sets for them to interact with, along with the Nintendo Switches. And although we taught them some basics of computer science and how to interact with pieces of technology that they themselves create, again, the biggest eye-opening experience for me was listening to them be able to talk to each other, sitting on the floor. I mean, 7:30 in the morning is rough. And they could sit on the floor and talk to each other about how they were going to code, what they were going to code, what they needed, with no arguments. And when I asked the girls how they felt when we came to the end of our session, they were most excited about not feeling the pressure of the boys being loud or not paying attention is a lot of what we heard. And we heard a lot about confidence and time management and organization. And so it wasn't just about the coding, it was building those relationships so they can feel comfortable learning.
That's incredible, and I think that story illustrates why there's so much more to the work in computer science and STEM than just those two pathways and the
Absolutely.
Education piece. It's
Absolutely.
about those life skills, creating more well-rounded students. You talked recently at a GWATA Tech Talk about what your future is for students.
Well, my future for elementary students especially is that they are not overlooked. So many individuals feel that elementary school is for those basics, and I agree. That's where we learn to read and write, but those basics also include the basic understanding of how things work, how to code things, how to use pieces of technology, how to problem solve, how to be okay with taking a risk and fail, and then look back and go, okay, I failed, and I'm gonna try it again. And I really truly believe that not only technology and computer science, but a well-rounded STEM lesson can provide all of those things for our kids.
And then on the bonus side, if they go into that career, Washington State's booming with those jobs.
Yes.
So we need to supply more students to get directly into those jobs as well.
And I definitely talk to the older students, and it's a big part of my Hour Code events is to educate families as well, as this is a pathway that may be interesting or not, but not just because there's jobs available, but these types of interactions with these types of technology go well beyond the game playing. They get them to that computational thinking and that collaboration, and you can use that in any career or job you want to pursue.
I love that. Well, we unfortunately have to wrap here, but if someone wants to get involved, how can they connect with you or support the work that you're doing?
Well, I currently am trying to start a Guys Who Code Club now.
Okay.
And my gentlemen want to use a specific robot that is with Lego, and so if you go to Donors Choose, you can help us out by donating. I have a matching grant right now, so donating $5 will give us 10. If you want to come help out in my classroom or with an Hour Code event, you can find me on the Wenatchee School District website. I teach at Lincoln Elementary.
Perfect. And you can also reach out to us at GWATA, and we will get you connected in with Tina or one of our incredible other educators in the system. Thank you, Tina, for joining us.
Thank you for having me
soon, and stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. I want to thank you for joining us today on GWATA TV. We learned about programs through AVID, a nonprofit that's helping support professional development for educators. We talked about computer science education, and we heard about stories from Tina Nicpan-Brown. Amazing, incredible change that she's making for her students and helping support other teachers in the Wenatchee School District. Students who learn about computer science in high school are 6 times more likely to major in it in college. So I want to encourage you to help us as we hope to make the change and bring more students into computer science and create that path line into future careers. If you're interested in getting involved locally, go talk to one of your schools or come visit with us at GWATA, and we'd be happy to connect you in. I want to thank our guests for taking the time to be on air with us today. And if you just started tuning in and missed part of today's episode, don't worry, the full episode will be online at the NCW channel website. We look forward to seeing you next week, right here on GWATA TV.
Since 1999, GWATA has served as North Central Washington's Tech Alliance. As a 501c3, our mission is to bring people and technology resources together to create a thriving community. Through our work, we aim to inspire, engage, and connect.